What's going on, everybody? We're a minute away from 8 o'clock. Live video time, and I got some kick butt announcements. Some things that will probably have a little bit of controversy slightly, but I think in the long run it's going to be pretty sweet. Hold on, let me grab something. I decided Yoshi needs to be on camera a little bit more. He's still struggling with the feathers, but what are you going to do? So what's going on, everybody? Herbie, Daniel, Jamie, Taylor, IFG in the house, Jamie McDonald, what's going on? Chip Mason, Gustavo Macias. What's going on, my friend? Brian Koppel. All right, folks. Rob Jones. Share. Get crazy. Share, 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 share. All right, Josh Cunningham, Matt Webster. Let's get this thing popping. Aaron, what's going on, my friend? So, starting next week, I will be going live strictly from the Aquatic Lounge. Does not mean you cannot see it currently. What I've decided is I'm doing 2 videos a week on YouTube. And I'm doing the live video on Wednesday. And with the Aquatic Lounge just taking off, and I mean in a big way, I thought it would be better that once we reach a certain number, about 2,000, the live videos will then become exclusive to those in the Aquatic Lounge. I'm going to lose numbers, but that's not what it's about. It's about giving the people of Aquatic Lounge an opportunity to get questions and information asked on Wednesdays at 8. Because not everybody can be friends with you, and you're not going to add everybody as a friend either, because you may talk once or twice, but when you're within a group, you can talk a heck of a lot more with a commonality, which is really great. So next Wednesday, we will be doing it straight from the Aquatic Lounge. You can share it, and people can still join in on the live video. But once the Aquatic Lounge reaches 2,000, then you're not going to be able to see the live video, I do not think, unless you're a member of the Aquatic Lounge. Does this help the Aquatic Lounge? Absolutely. But it also gives the members of the Aquatic Lounge something exclusive, which I think is really cool. Not that I'm an exclusive person. Butch Livingston, Mitch, what's going on? Chad, but I think it's for the better. Jay saying, what's up, my friend? But I did want to touch on what the Aquatic Lounge is doing before we get onto the topic of Tropheus. So, the Aquatic Lounge has this giving back, paying forward type thing. Tom Fish, Jason Loses, Sergio! And it started off by one of our admins, Stephanie, giving away $50. And then it starts to steamroll. It starts to pick up steam. We now have Josh Martinka, Daniel Wilson, Sean Pierce, all combining together to give away a Fluval 406, some food from NORTHFIN USA, and a package of Seachem and Fluval products to make sure that that canister can be set up just for that person. But on the back end, I received 3 more requests to add more stuff to it, which I did deny for the simple reason is I want to keep this going. I've got somebody that's going to do a giveaway in a little bit. The Aquatic Lounge is going to be giving away and doing auctions for sick prizes. And the ability to take organically what is in the Aquatic Lounge and grow it makes it a heck of a lot better. There is no other group that will be able to do everything that we'll be able to do. There are some amazing groups out there that give you a ton of amazing knowledge. They keep it straightforward. They keep it clean. It's awesome. But when you look at the abilities of what NORTHFIN USA, myself, my wife, and everyone that we became friends with, even if it's just a Facebook friend, along the way, we are able to take a business, propel it forward to help people. Nobody's doing that. No NORTHFIN retailer can copy what we are doing, ever. And that's what makes us very unique and number one. I've never said it before, but it's time to say it. We the best! Yes, we are, because we're able to do things nobody can touch. We can go to 1,000,000 different events, but if we cannot touch another fish keeper, when I say touch, I mean hit the feels, man, to a different level, then we're no better than any other business. So why not use the platform you have to give back? And that is what we do. So the Aquatic Lounge, NORTHFIN USA, myself, my wife, and you are taking this hobby completely around and flipping it upside down. There are trends that are being set. It is sick. It is simply sick. And if you got the email from NORTHFIN USA, it was almost $2,000 to Ivan Rodriguez, $1,000 to the grant fund. It doesn't stop. I mean, that's looking at almost $3,000 given from NORTHFIN USA back to the hobby directly. Not with this stuff. This is awesome. But when you're talking about giving research money and you're talking about helping a fellow fish keeper, I'm sorry, you are not going to be able to do what we are doing. So, let's get on the topics of Tropheus. I understand this is backwards. I wish Facebook would figure this out. So Mark Zuckerberg, if you are watching, sir, please flip this. I know I can, but then I cannot see exactly what I'm doing to make sure that it's on camera. Grabbed him by the gills. That's right, Sergio. That's what we just did. Robert, cheers from Canada. If it wasn't for Canada, NORTHFIN would not be here in the U.S. All right, so here's the deal. Tropheus in their natural habitat. We're going to talk about Tropheus, and there's a reason. It seems that in the fish hobby, trends are set. And the amazing part about it is good for the hobby. It's good for that host country that has the ability to have these fish and to export them. But if you don't know what you're doing, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for your pocket, and it's not worth it for the fish. And I say that with respect to everyone that I have ever come in contact with that breeds, imports, or resells fish. If they are selling you everything and anything under the sun, they are not in it for the right reasons. They're in it for the green, and that ain't for me. But when you're looking for, let's say, Tropheus. Yeah, I know. There is quite a few different people that I will look to in order to get information. One of them being Butch Livingston, Southeast Cichlids. You folks know it. Yes, I am friends with him, but his knowledge is top-notch. You've got Pam Chin. You've got Josh Cunningham that specifically is just Lake Tanganyika, which is where these guys come from if you did not know. Now, some of this information may just be, dude, I already freaking know it. Move on already. But some of this information is good for somebody that's like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. I need to get my ducks my Tropheus in a row. So there's going to be some information you may already know, which is okay, but it's a good refresher. And it's going to just kind of set out that decking, that foundation, if you will, for people that are going to start keeping Tropheus. Some of the things I say you may not agree with, and that's fine. But I'm only doing it in the best interest of the fish. Corey Trouse, Emily Loop, what's going on? Nico Nuts, Mark Lomax. So, if you want to keep Tropheus, I highly recommend, wait for it, that you keep them in a species-only tank. I'll wait for the mad faces. There is a reason, okay? Can you keep them with other species? Yeah, it's been done before. So is going over Niagara Falls in a barrel, but I don't see anybody else trying it. So the main goal is to give information for the betterment not only of the hobby, but that species of fish. So when you talk about Tropheus, you should not see Tropheus in anything other than a Tropheus tank. Yes, that is correct. Not Tropheus and Mbuna, not Tropheus and Haps. Now, it doesn't mean you can't do it. I'm just giving you a recommendation. Yes, I have once said, well, I didn't even say, I once had a tank. I once had a tank that had a Tropheus. But the thing is I could never keep them alive, and I could never figure out why. I wasn't educated. I didn't have the books. I didn't study as much as I have. And when it comes down to it, I couldn't keep a Tropheus alive because it was my fault. I'm the one that kept killing them. They kept getting bloat. They kept getting beat up. Yeah, it happens. I even blamed a food manufacturer at the time because they told me that the fish wouldn't get bloat, so I switched to that food. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So, Tropheus, keep them solo dolo. Keep them solo dolo. Tropheus have not been imported into the U.S. or outside of Lake Tanganyika for very long. It's only been around the 1950s, and I'm getting most of this information from this book, which you can too. Tropheus were probably brought in because they were something completely different. They had a different body structure than that of a Hap and Peacock or an Mbuna. They were cool looking. They still are cool looking. They have this almost cartoonish type look, but with amazing personalities. And I think that's what drives Tropheus. The neat part about it is when they get prego, they hold them in their mouth for 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. Now everything is a generalization, okay? This isn't word is bond, okay? This is what I've read, what I've founded, what I've researched, and what information I've gotten from various people. Now, the reason why they do this in the wild is because when Tropheus release the babies from their mouth, the female, they want them to be able to eat immediately. They want them to be able to fend for themselves immediately. So they do keep the fish inside their mouth a lot longer than, let's say, a Hap or a Peacock. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. And that's really neat because this fish is already adapted to the so-called survival of the fittest. I'll just keep the babies in my mouth a little bit longer, feed them while they're in my mouth, and then release them into the wild, and they should be okay. Now, of course, not every single one is going to be okay, but you get the picture. Lake Tanganyika, I believe, is one of the oldest lakes in the world. Did you say the world? Yes, the world. You know, when scientists say, we found this right outside Egypt. We found it in some rubble under some sediment. We've estimated this plug to be 1.7 billion years old. Come on, man. Outside of, you know, a few thousand years, how do you even know that? Hey, you get science. Yeah, okay, science. I get it. I'm tracking. You can't tell me something's a billion years old, man. So, Lake Tanganyika is one of the oldest lakes in the world. I'm just going to say that, okay? It is the length of 650 kilometers. It's a very narrow lake because its average width is only 50 kilometers. So, are you visualizing this? Let me give you a visualization. Now remember, this is all backwards. So it's not very wide, which is, it is what it is, I guess. But the neat part about it is, when you're creating a Tropheus tank, I mean, when they're farm raised and they're outside of the wild, there's so many different things that you can do. You can set up so many different styles of tank, if you will. But if you're looking to recreate a biotope or a actual environment and you're bringing in wild caught fish, which that would behoove you to do so, you're looking at a rocky shoal, not very deep. And I'm not on that page, but I remember reading it's very rocky but very clean, and as they get to the top, there is a lot of current. So they get low, and you've got your gobies down there, and you got your Tropheus kind of picking away at the rocks and the algae, which is really neat. But as they get higher, there's a lot of current. So when I decided to do the 150 tall, a lot of that went into play. There's a lot of cutouts inside Lake Tanganyika from what I read. I've never been there, I can't say. And if you've been there, you haven't been through the whole lake, so it's constantly changing. But the cool part about it is the fish can go in, eat, get crazy, come back out, go to the high current and swim around, and then come back down to where there's a lot of sediment over the larger and smaller rocks. And that's what we're going to create. That's why we went with the wall we did from Universal Rocks, hopefully called, well, I'll let you decide. Hopefully called what I want it to be called. And then to do a rockscape of that can replicate as close as we can get to Lake Tanganyika. It's not going to be perfect, and we still want it to be aesthetically pleasing because, well, it's ours, right? So, just an FYI, there are 8 different species of Tropheus, and they all haven't been found from what I've gathered. Which, I don't know who's going to find them all. Odd Konings does an amazing job with this book, and you can only get so much information in a book with so many pictures. But the neat part is the upper 3 to 5 meters is the one that's super high current. But they live within the 30-meter range. So the 150 is not going to recreate the 30-meter range, but we're going to be able to recreate as much as we can, if that makes sense. Yoshi's eating pellets, not NORTHFIN. So, does anybody have any questions? I'm sure Butch is still in here. I'm sure Josh is in here. I don't think Pam's in here. I know Pam had to work. But if you got questions, go crazy. Here's the other thing I kind of want to touch base on. Tropheus, and I'm going to close the book because this is what I do know about Tropheus. They're very, very fickle. It doesn't matter if you keep the best water quality, the perfect number inside the colony. They're going to do what they want to do. Some will color up, some will not color up. Some will display different patterns while the others look completely different, yet they're all the same species. And I think this needs to be understood because let's say you're keeping... Butch, what's your favorite Tropheus? Pam, what's your favorite Tropheus? Josh, what's your favorite Tropheus? If you start keeping multiple different species of the 8 species of Tropheus, it's going to affect the way they act, the way they thrive. So when you're thinking about doing a Tropheus tank, I wouldn't necessarily go, I want 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish, all in the same tank. that doesn't work for Tropheus in a sense of what they're about. Will it work? Yeah, guys, we could beat that with a freaking it will work. But you're not going to get the best possible Tropheus that you were looking for. The other thing I want to say, and Butch says this a lot. Just because you saw the fish on the internet does not mean that that's the fish that you're going to get. Too many times, I see so many people get so bewildered, frustrated, upset, downright nasty because the exact color that they saw on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Google, whatever you're using, is not what you got. That is going to happen 100% of the time. There are even guys that are like, look, man, I'm the best fish keeper in African cichlids there is, bruh, okay? I keep them all, and I'm like totally, epically, amazingly perfect at all of it. And I am really upset that I ordered said fish, and it's not fire engine red. It's more of a blood orange red. What the hey, man? Well, here's the deal, man. Each fish is different. You're Caucasian, I'm Caucasian. We have two different pigments. My wife's Asian, she's got a different pigment than another Asian that you may run into. Do you get where I'm going with this? Yeah, fish aren't humans. But what I'm saying is, just because, for instance, I did a spotlight video on the Angara flametail. And it was supposed to have been a red Angara. Got it a long time ago. But when I researched, it said you can get, and that's what I talked about in the video, you can get the orangish red type flush or just a red flush depending on which lake it's from or who's breeding what fish. So it still has some red tinge to it, but it's not 100% red when I look at it. So you gotta use this when you're ordering fish. If you see a purple African cichlid, and I'm talking purple and lime green, it's the, I think it's a lithobait that somebody photoshopped. I don't know how many times that I have gotten a message that has said, where do I get this fish? So I want you to understand that just because the Tropheus looks like this doesn't mean it's going to look like that in your tank. Because there's way too many variables. Are you feeding the proper food? Which they're herbivores, so you should be feeding a very, very high quality veggie style diet. Building algae on the rocks is a plus because you can watch them graze. There are so many water quality. The amount of fish you have in there for the colony. Did you decide to do a goulash of fish with Tropheus? None of that is going to work in your benefit. So if you're trying to achieve a high-level tank with excellently colored fish, for instance, in this case, Tropheus, you're going to have to follow a little stricter guideline. And it's almost a progression for me. I want to keep Petrochromis bad. Really, really bad. Butch, Josh have told me, pump the brakes. You got to keep Tropheus first. So I've kind of did this progression where I had a garbage pail tank that had you name it in there. It looked like SpongeBob's underwater world. Then I graduated and started to develop how I kept fish and the things of that nature. And then I started to kind of break down the species. I got rid of Mbuna, haps and peacocks. Had haps and peacocks for a very long time. And then all of a sudden I kind of slowed down and said, you know what, I need to go all haps, separate the peacocks. Got that under control. Got myself a book. Did a lot of research. Did not just wake up and go, I'm going to keep Tropheus. That's not the right way to do things. So now I think I'm ready. Well, I don't think. I know I'm ready to keep Tropheus. And once I can successfully keep Tropheus, then I will possibly, maybe down the line, graduate to Petrochromis. D. Kosi, Jamie Reed, what's going on? So, does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Any questions about the Tropheus 150 that's going to go right behind me? As you can see, the chair is gone. We are one step closer. So, pretty good. So, recap while the questions possibly come in. Julian Rodriguez, what's going on? Jason, what's going on? Get yourself a book. Do some research. Get the right food. Ask a lot of questions. Fish keepers are a very, very unique people. We love to give information, but we get so frustrated when people ask it over and over again. I understand that's the same way for probably every hobby, but with fish keeping, you seem to get that. I'm going to be keeping the red rainbow, Sam Garcia. Chad, I will private message you after this. We're not going to be combining anything else with the current contest. We can work with you to do something different in the aquatic lounge, bud. D-Koshi, yes, I am ready to stay on top of water changes. I had that coming to light when I talked to Butch and the admin team from the aquatic lounge. I'm ready. What size Tropheus? I'm actually going to get very small because I want to watch them grow. That's another thing. That is another thing that I think sometimes takes a lot of the happiness and the achievement and the reward out of fish keeping is we should have got the fish this big, and instead we got the fish this big. Yeah, not very good. And I think what that does is we lose patience for everything else we do in the fish hobby. We don't get to watch them grow. We don't get to watch them develop. We don't get to understand them a little better. And ultimately, that is the best part of fish keeping. Time and time again, I see, my fish isn't coloring up, man. It's not coloring up fast enough. It's 5 freaking inches, bro. It's like, well, that fish gets 16 inches and you got a while. I mean, I've got a couple of fish. My Buccochromis rhodesii yellow is probably every bit of 6 inches plus and just starting to form. So there's a lot of different things when you look at fish. But Tropheus, Sam, by all means, man, I'd love to put it right over the tank. When you're looking at them and you watch them grow, it's something cool. It's like the Phosochromis rostratus that we have in there. I call him tinfoil. Yoshi's going to need to knock it off, otherwise he's going to exit stage left. When I got him, he looked like a female. I mean, I knew he was a male, but when I got him, he looked just like a female. And as he progressed, it was like instantaneously overnight, completely different. Completely different. So, and I think that was a really cool achievement when you're looking at watching this fish grow. You know, you can start with Mbuna. Mbuna are probably one of the more, they're aggressive, and you can get some amazing Mbuna. I'm not knocking them in any way, but it's a great starter fish. Yoshi's, Mindy, if you don't mind coming to grab him, that would be huge. The neat part is when you start with Mbuna, I don't want to say there's a lot of room for growth. Give me 1 second. See ya. You see, you try to help out and bring the bird in, and he acts like a Ted. So you can start with Mbunas, and some people stick with Mbunas. I know quite a few people. I was actually talking about this the other night. If I was to stay with Mbuna, I probably would have kind of split my tank off and went Hanji and Mason Reef and just created some amazing tanks. I still have the ability to do that, but that's not in the deck of cards right now. Yeah, bye Yoshi. But I think when you start with Mbuna, you can just create this fun environment with tons of hiding places and holy rock. And when you get to haps and peacocks, you kind of lose that creativity, so to speak. You can still do it, but haps and peacocks are open water swimmers. And now I'm going to be able to transition to a Tropheus, which has a different style as well, which is a lot of low rocks, maybe some big boulders and some cave-esque type things. So that is what I'm talking about. What's going on, John Hudson? So when you're talking about Tropheus, that's kind of the key. Now, somebody's already made this comment, and I'm going to reiterate it. I think Tropheus will now become the next trendsetter. I just did a video talking about our haps taking over, and for the most part, they're becoming more popular. But I think Tropheus are going to be that new trend. And so that's why I wanted to do this video. Just because a trend is trendy, so to speak, doesn't mean everybody should jump on board right away. I think what you should do is kind of figure out where you need to be and then truly attack that aggressively to try to achieve the best possible environment, if that makes sense. Terry Bonham, man, I appreciate it, brother. If you love fish, say fish. So that's kind of where it needs to be at. We could preach this till we're dead in the face, but too many people have spewed silly information. I mean, even when I first started, I got information that was not even close to right. And now as you evolve, you should own that and say, hey, look, I made a mistake, and that's what I do. I say, look, I kept a 55-gallon with everything. And I grew that into a 150 with everything. And then slowly just kind of evolved to understand that that's not the best for the fish. Doesn't mean you can't do it. You can do it 10 times over. And that's up to you. And I'm nobody to judge. Butch Livingston said Tropheus were the fish 9-10 years back. Butch Livingston, I think it's going to be the fish in the next year or so. Just a hunch. Just going to say, possibly. With the posts we're seeing, the Aquatic Lounge has got quite a few Tropheus keepers, and it's going to be awesome. But the ultimate goal is to have some Petros in a tank. Butch has got the brakes on me hardcore, and that's where we need to be. Arius Huey, how many in a 150? Well, Arius, that is I've said this many, many times. That is a loaded question, and I'm going to need to know way more information than just me sitting up here going, well, I'll be darned, dude, shooting my freaking butt cheeks to squeeze tight. You got a 150, I got your fish. You can fit 700. Nah, don't do 700. Let's be realistic. You got the 150, throw the 1-inch gallon out the window. You got aggression. We need to get them all together because the more African cichlins you put together is going to be the best for your cichlins. So if you're getting them from me, you're probably going to get about 80, 90 in there. Just let me know. We'll get you all hooked up, fired up, and get it rocking. So, I mean, there's so many different, there are so many different answers to that question of how many can I fit in a 150 that we do need more information, Arius. There's no video, no topic, no forum, no nothing that can possibly tell you exactly how many you can keep in there. Kevin Green said 300 cardinal tetras. I'm sure that can be done. But Butch just made a really, really strong comment. I did forget to take my medicine, Brian Tucker, jerk. Is just because they're a cool fish, just because Petrochromis are amazing looking fish, just because Tropheus are something completely different, just because predator haps seem to be on the rise, does not mean you should go jumping into it just because it is cool. How did drugs work out for you? This is your fish. This is your fish without research. Any questions? Yeah! So definitely think about all this before you get really, really crazy. And I just wasted a candy, and I don't want to go get it. I'll get it later. So, look, we've been talking 33 minutes about Tropheus. I think we got a lot of good information out there. I think the Aquatic Lounge is out there. We've learned research. We've learned a little bit about Lake Tanganyika. Now, I'm not going to sit here for an hour and just chit-chat about Lake Tanganyika. We could do that at an ACA, an OCA, or a NECA, the New England Cichlid Associating meeting. We could do it at the Big Fish Deal. We could do it at these various places through associations because that's where these topics need to start flowing. Here we can at least start the topic, get it going, and get crazy. You know, Butch just made a comment. I don't know if all you can see all the comments all the time, but you know, Tropheus, they can make you want to quit the hobby. I mean, any fish can really make you want to quit the hobby based upon not doing the proper research. So just kind of think about that. Terry Bonham, we're working on it, brother. We can only work so fast. Husband and wife team, babies on the way, couple jobs, school. No excuse, just don't have enough time. Should I take out my holy rock and do a background? Tabitha Witt, my recommendation would be based upon the fish you do have, yes. But that's not something that you should do. You don't just have to do it. There's going to be some awesome Tropheus talk at the ACA in July in Michigan. We will be there, and it will be fun. And I think we're going to do something cool for the aquatic loungers. So if you're in the aquatic lounge, definitely, if not, get in there. And we're doing some really cool things about promoting a lot of the associations and making this a better fish hobby. Where do you recommend to get a good Lake Malawi book? I mean, you can get it on Amazon. The best one out right now is Malawi Cichlids in Their Natural Habitat, 5th edition. I know not a lot has changed over time with it. It has went glossy, so it's a really nice book. It's a really big book. And the neat part is, if you're a member of the Aquatic Lounge, you may have an opportunity to win one of these at some point in the next month or so. So, my opinion is to study their environment and set your tank up based on their studies. Absolutely. I cut back on, let's see. D. Koshi, I know he's breeding Tropheus. He said, I cut back on colony size with my wild caught. Just don't have the time and effort that a fully stocked Tropheus tank requires. I want the best for my fish. That's really, really awesome words. Later, Stephanie, first time watching one of your live vids. Cool. I'm really enjoying the lounge, by the way. Appreciate it. Stephen and Erica. I want that book bad. A lot of people do. You can get it off Amazon. You could probably get it. You could check it out at the library, I'm assuming. There's so many different places you can get it. Cichlidpress.com, I'm sorry. The best place to get it is cichlidpress.com. I got mine. I didn't get mine off Amazon. Matter of fact, I got mine at the ACA from a gentleman who sells books. And the second one that I have, I got from Odd Konings himself for the donation that NORTHFIN USA made to the Stuart M. Grant Fund. They didn't have to be our tank, so we must make them as comfortable as possible. Yeah. They didn't choose to be in there. Listen at the spine of that book. Either it's new or you don't look at it much. Daniel, that's a brand new one. In my honest opinion, the first 36 hours are key in getting Tropheus acclimated to your tank. So, research, study, ask questions. Now, there's a time and a place to ask questions. I've always believed that. It's not, to me, if you want to email all day, email all day. Text message at 3 o'clock in the morning, probably not the best time. Facebook message is okay, but you got to remember, a lot of this stuff, for anybody that keeps fish, we probably get a lot of questions that just flow in. So groups, forums are more than likely the best place to start. But if you get information from somebody or some people, taking all that information and then just asking the question again in some other place only makes it more difficult for you. For instance, Why does my fish have this white spot? First group's going to tell you he's got ick. I don't think it's ick. I think that fish has got gill flukes. And then you're going to get, when in doubt, clout. You need to separate the fish right now because the white spot is unnatural. And then you're like, oh my goodness, so much information. Let me ask it in another group. So then you move to another group or you move to a forum, and then you get some other information. I don't think your plant should be in that tank at all because that is an mbuna tank and that plant is not for mbunas. Okay, I didn't ask that. I asked why my fish has a white spot. So case in point, that's where one of the problems stems. And then the next problem is you get something completely different because you've just written, I think I may have ick or gill flukes and I should add clout. Don't add clout. It's not gill flukes. It's not it. It's cephalotypalamahalala. And it's very rare and you have it. And now you just want to quit fish. So be careful. Not everybody's going to have the perfect information. And in most groups, I mean in any group, you're going to get information based upon how people harbor it. If people harbor it as an attack, then it's going to be an attack. Well, you don't take care of your water. You're a piece of crap. Get your fish out now. You should give your fish to me. Or you're going to get, okay, we need to really check some things out. And you're going to have to ask a lot more questions than just say, hey, when did that start? Or what's the water quality? Can you give me the parameters? How long have you had that fish? Where did you get that fish? Has it always looked like that? There are so many questions, folks, that you're never going to get just the right answer. And I'll give an example before I possibly end this. It just depends on if you folks have any other major questions. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is going to give you 100% perfect information. But I remember a long time ago, I actually made a video dressed up like this guy. But he lived in New York and he kept a lot of different cichlids. He was a firefighter and he would post all the time on YouTube. He would post all the time on Facebook. And to be honest, he got a lot of crappy information because most people don't know the extent of how it got there. They don't ask all those questions because, one, not to be rude, but most people that are trying to help just want to give information. They don't want to understand the whole thing. So I privately messaged this guy, and it took 2 weeks to rectify his situation because we had to go from the ground up. We literally had to start from ground zero to find out how it started, where it came from, water quality, what they were doing. And it turns out that they were completely changing out their media all the time. Their tank was crashing. Their fish were breathing heavy. And their fish were ultimately dying from unsurmounted amount of stress. And once we corrected it, it was over. It was perfectly fine. But it took 2 weeks. I mean, I've taken FaceTime calls with guys in Australia to help with algae issues. I mean, you have to understand the circumstances. And the algae issue was not lighting from the actual tank. The person is FaceTiming me in front of their tank. And I said, what time is it right now? And they tell me it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I said, how long does the light stay on your tank like that? Oh, until about 5. So this person gets about 6 hours of natural light beaming on this tank and then had another 10 hours of artificial light that he was putting on his tank. And nobody really grasped that because they didn't have the opportunity to be in his house at that time. So just be careful. Make sure you're taking the right information. Make sure you ask fully what you want to know. And don't be surprised if people ask you more questions to give you the answer of your questions. Yeah, I mean, there's difference between opinions and fact and actual suggestions. Opinions are, well, I don't think you should do that. That's an opinion. A better way to answer that would be, I don't think you should do that because that's not the style of fish that should be paired with that food. That is a better answer. So a lot of us just become lazy because our mouths don't autocorrect, which can be a blessing or a complete terror on many people. So, folks, you just got to take everything with a grain of salt. Nobody's out to attack you. Nobody's out to get you. Most of us are all in it for a common good. And there are trolls. I mean, shoot. I'm sure there's a secret underground troll lair of fish guys and girls that jump on forums and groups and stuff. And they go, you know, they start it up like it's going to be some Clash of Clans or some World of Warcraft. And they're like, what's the percentage of win ratio to get somebody really upset? Does anybody have that? And then you got the guy that's like, well, that's going to be 8.3 pH on the scale of Richter that we're going to go ahead and troll this group. All right, gentlemen, let's go in and troll. I mean, they're doing this. I mean, that happens. And if that's what they want to do, then let them. I mean, you can only thank 4chan and Anonymous for all that crap because they're the one. 4chan started all that trolling and meme crap. I'll see you tomorrow, bud. Later, 38%. And then you get Leroy Jenkins, and then it's just chaos, and people are upset, and they're like, oh, they made fun of my tank, and you admins suck because you didn't stand up for me. And then the admins are like, we don't have to stand up for you because we own this Facebook group and we're too cool. There's just so many different things. So I mean, just bring it down, relax. Jake, I appreciate it, man. You know, I try to give the best information I can based upon the information that is given. So do you feel that completing an ecosystem would eliminate a lot of these problems? I place plants in the back of one of my tanks and let the roots grow to complete the cycle. Now that's all I do is save 25% once a month. Oh, you do 25%. Yeah, Terry, I mean, if you're recreating a really good ecosystem, you got good turn on your water, you're doing the proper maintenance, and you've got everything set up, yeah, you're going to eliminate a lot of problems. Doesn't mean that you're not going to have any problems. But, yeah, Brooke, because you've answered the same question 1,000 times, still not the questioner's fault, though. No, the questioner, I think if you want to be a person who gives solid information and somebody says, why does my fish act sick? The first thing everybody says is, you don't change your water right. You suck at fish keeping. Oh my God, you got a mixed tank. What the crap is all of that? There's too many different things, and then the person's like, forget this, I don't like it. When you can attack all that other stuff in a more tactical manner and still achieve the same outcome that you once wanted. So, for instance, why do my fish act sick? Well, when did it start? How did it start? Address the answer that they're looking for first, and then proceed to suggest other things later. That is natural when it comes to interacting with humans on a face-to-face basis. If I walked up to you and said, hey, how does my shirt look? And you were like, it's ugly. If you're not my best friend, I'm going to be like, that's kind of where it comes from. Most of us don't know any of these people. And I think it comes down to properly answering the question, then suggesting the proper course of action to get to the ultimate goal of achievement. That's kind of where my mind goes, and I'm not like everybody else. And you know, sometimes I can come across as a turd, and everybody does. But I think that's kind of where we have to put our mindset if we're going to help a lot of these newer fish keepers. Nico, we didn't block Nico. Scott, what's going on, man? Some people are just yes. How about these shoes? How about those shoes? Yeah, people make fun of my shoes all the time, but I mean, whatever. And then some people will troll you just to get you upset. Like Brooke and Mindy are talking about somebody who asks questions just to be a hot, steamy turd. Plain and simple. They know exactly what they're doing is not right, and it may not even be their tank that they're showing you. And they simply push the right buttons for you to explode. They see exactly what they wanted to see. And they got what they wanted. You're upset for the next couple of days. You go privately and you're like, oh my goodness, can you believe what this little turd ball said? Oh my goodness, can you believe it? Oh my goodness, they know all this stuff. And we all do it. But there's going to be people that do that. That's the same thing as trolling. It happens. You know, they bait you right in. They blow the spot up in your face. You get really upset. I mean, I'm victim of it. You're victim of it. And yeah, you can banhammer them. You can block I mean, you can do a ton of different things. But at the same time, I look at it as if somebody comes into a video and leaves a horrible comment or an Instagram post or Facebook group, whatever the case is, if the kill 'em with kindness thing does work. They're looking for something to blow. They're baited by somebody else. Sometimes companies will do this. Sometimes companies will say, "Psst, hey, do me a favor. They don't like this. Do it. We're going to get them." Mousetrap. We're going to get them. And then it turns around and they're like, it didn't work out like we wanted it to. No, because premier businesses and people that stand out and stand above that crap completely will sail over them, because everybody else that sees that will rise to the occasion, and that person doesn't have to do anything. So there is a ton of trolls out there. Some find it very fun. Some will sit there behind their computer smoking their cigarette, belly hanging out, Cheeto fingers, sipping on a freaking Bush, and snacking on Slim Jims on the side. And they've got King of the Hill on. Actually, that sounds like me. And they're just having a good old time. Or, you know, it's some 18 or 45-year-old man that has nothing better to do with their time than to do what they're doing. Yeah, there's a ton of turtles back there. But, I mean, it happens. And you can ignore them, you can address it, and you can have fun. One of the advantages of the military is every button has been pushed multiple times. A lot of the trolls that you find out there wouldn't last 30 seconds in a room with deployed forces. I mean, I remember the first time I showed up, and this is non-fish related. I showed up, I get down range, I'm in Baghdad, and the moment I walked in, it was just like an onslaught of every single cult classic movie you've ever imagined. And the only thing I can do was turn around and walk out. And I walked back in, and I used choice words, and I said, "Shall we begin again?" And it worked. It worked for what I was looking for. And I grew up in a very unique lifestyle with the way my parents were and who I was and where I was demographically. And so I had an advantage, and it was okay. I mean, I think I turned out semi-decent, I hope. But Sean Pierce, have a good night. Sergio, I've never been on a boat, man, but I can only imagine being on a submarine or even a guided cruiser. A carrier would be something completely different, but being on a small boat, no bueno. So, let's recap real quick. Tropheus, don't dive in just because you like them. Do your research, get yourself a book, check out cichlidpress.com. Get to the ACA, it's in July. It's in Michigan, somewhere just outside of Detroit. The Michigan Cichlid Association is hosting it, and you're not going to want to miss it. I promise you that. There's going to be some amazing speakers. Check out the Aquatic Lounge, because once we reach 2,000, we're closing it off, and all of these live videos on Wednesday will then become exclusive to Aquatic Loungers. I think that's about it. We're achieving awesome things with NORTHFIN USA. It doesn't get much better than where we're at right now, to be honest with you. We got some really cool things coming down the pipe, and super stoked. I appreciate you all taking the time to come out here and listen to me banter a little bit, understand Tropheus in a little bit different light, and play him back. That's the fun part. Till next time, see you in the Aquatic Lounge. Holla!